We are awaiting the approval for the merger between Skydance and Paramount. If that were to finalize, it would mean that the Star Trek IP, movies, and shows would be made whole again. The new company will put a focus on getting a Star Trek movie in the theater, which is long overdue. Beyond came out in like 17, so before we get a new one, we are 10 years later. So, and yes, I also hope in a few months then a certain Mr. Kurtzman can go job hunting. Fingers crossed again. This is the review of Champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Sakar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, voice only, we have Loki's mom. How are you?
I'm doing really well.
That's good to hear. Not voice only, on camera, we have Merv. How are you?
Fantastic.
And last but certainly not least, we have the original Mr. Taylor First. How are you?
I'm excellent, thank you.
That's great to hear. This is episode 20 of the Star Trek project, where we will be reviewing Star Trek. All of it in order of release, kinda. And today we're going to talk about Star Trek Insurrection. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like and share this video and subscribe to our channel. Join our forum at sakar.freeforums.net. Find a link in the description below the video, and it will get you to the set up an account page, and set up an account, join the conversation, and you can even join us on our shows. We will set up our episodes of the Star Trek projects for movies, like we always do for movies. 3 rounds, quick thoughts, deep dives, and related things, and we round up with a rating. So, Star Trek Insurrection. Again, Lieutenant Commander Data is malfunctioning again, and the crew of the Enterprise puts the Dominion War on hold to fix their comrade. Basically, that's the movie. Right, Taylor? Okay, we're done, people. Now, can I have your quick thoughts on Insurrection?
It's a good movie. It's not as good as First Contact or most of the original series movies, but it's a good movie. It's solid. It's entertaining. It's got a few little flaws, I think, but overall, it's perfectly entertaining and a perfectly good addition to the franchise.
Mm-hmm. Lokismom, what did you think of Insurrection?
I enjoyed it quite a bit. I kind of surprised myself. I thought I had seen that movie back in the day when it came out, but apparently it passed me by somehow. So when I began watching this movie, believing I had already seen it, I was surprised that I had no clue what this movie was about, and so it was sort of a double pleasure for me to get to do it that way. And I agree with Taylor. I think there was some. It was entertaining. The same vibe, the Star Trek vibe that we're used to, and I think it fulfilled that. But like you say, there's a few minor things, but overall, I was happy with it.
Okay, we're gonna get into those minor things later, but first I want to hear from Merv. Of course, you also saw it for the first time recently, so I want to know. Insurrection is considered a weaker Star Trek movie. Do you agree with that assumption?
I don't. I loved it.
Okay. I actually also love it. I rewatched it and I thought, hey, this is actually quite good. So
yeah, I was pleasantly surprised. Minor caveat: I had seen the opening scene that rang all kinds of bells, but I didn't remember anything beyond that. I don't think I watched the full movie when I saw it, but that opening scene, I was like, oh, I've seen this before at some point in my life. So I definitely saw the opening scene before, but everything else was new as far as this movie goes. Okay. And I really had a lot of fun with it. I thought it was really, really good. I have pretty much zero complaints about it whatsoever. I'm
Okay.
curious to see what other people did, though, just to reevaluate my own opinion.
No, you can stay your positive self later on. But first, I moved to Loki's mom because she did have some minor flaws, and I want to hear about them.
Um, I did think the movie, for a sci-fi movie, it kind of lacked enough of the sci-fi action. It was there, but I didn't think the special effects, particularly the effects that were when they were down on that planet, were were good. I mean, I just despise that yellow pissy looking laser beam. That was looked like they were shooting Gatorade cannons, but other it was kind of hokey, a little flat, and the more when they kind of got out into this outer space, that was a little bit better, a little bit better done. But I didn't think it was as well done as the previous movie, First Contact. I thought I can't remember being upset with any of the special effects for that movie, but this one, yeah, it was just how it looked and everything. Oh, golly, not enough F. Murray Abraham. I mean, he should have been a lot more him in the movie. He's fantastic. And then I think Anthony Zerbe, another fine actor, he was kind of wasted a little bit. He was kind of like the dithering guy, the guy that usually played by Murray Hamilton in movies. He's in between. But yeah, otherwise, and two, I think again, I think just how it looked, that was the main thing. The plot and everything, and the rest of it really was pretty good. So, but yeah, as far as what I liked about it, um, yeah, it had that vibe. It had the what we expect from the characters, from what I remember from the TV show, and it was solid in that effect. Of course, Patrick Stewart. They had to do it was kind of funny in a way. At first, I thought it was hokey, but then it kind of wound up being funny, and that was when they're doing the Gilbert and Sullivan trying to get Data out of his funk. They began singing that opera song, operetta song, and that gets him back to where he's supposed to be. But and then it's somehow that whole thing about him going haywire and he was going to have to go back to Federation. What that kind of fell through. I guess they figured once he got fixed, they didn't have to arrest him now. But yeah, some of the maybe another little complaint. I thought some of the little cheesy love story part between Riker and what's her name, the counselor
Troy. Yeah.
Troy, Counselor Troy. I don't know. We probably didn't need some of that, but it was part of the whole thing back then, and it's kind of weaved its way into the Picard series and whatnot, where they're married, been married a long time. I think they're kind of living in that paradise
Spoilers.
type place on the TV show. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed it. I don't have a lot of huge complaints. I don't know that it really touched on. Well, let me take that back. Yeah, I think in a lot of ways it did. There were a lot of things that I think resonate today. A lot of the themes, I think it got really kind of serious into the idea of what here Federation is going to come in and, of course, with all good intentions, they wanted to do it, didn't want to harm the people. They were going to put them on that holodeck and then I guess tell them eventually that hey, you're living in a prison while your planet's rotting, and that kind of yeah, I think it kind of foretold the future a little bit of what we're going through in our own lives in the world right now. So yeah, that did stand out to me, and I appreciated that. I can't remember back in the day when that movie was made what the world situation was like, but I think it had a lot to tell us today.
The year was 1998. I lived in that time.
Yeah, I don't think the
But
world was quite as upset back then, but
no, it was a little bit more mellow. But yeah, no, that's not a hard ask. More mellow than nowadays. But anyway, Murph, um, you heard Loki's mom complain a little bit about the movie, but you didn't. So let's hear it. What were your particular highlights? I have a few, but I want to know from you.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, as far as complaints go, I mean, literally my only one, which isn't even really a complaint, was like I miss Jordy's visor. You know, like I see Jordy, I want his visor. But like I thought there was a touching moment with him looking at a sunset that I thought was a really good character moment for him. That if the visor is there or what, I don't know, but I thought that was really great. Uh, General highlight for me for this one was I thought the crew especially felt really well balanced. I felt like nobody really got sidelined. Maybe Dr. Crusher a little bit, but everyone else had something to do, something going on. Even like different pairings at certain times. Like at one point it was Picard and Worf in an action sequence, and then later on it's like Riker and Geordi or in the ship doing the action sequence, and it just like it felt like it was pretty well balanced for the main crew, I guess. Which maybe leads to a little bit of the detriment of the villain or villains in this, where I don't necessarily think they're as strong as someone like say. Um, I can't remember her name, the villain in the last one, the Borg Queen, or
Hmm.
especially not Khan or anyone like that. But like, I liked what we got here. I liked that it was a different villain than I've seen, almost like a character obsessed with like plastic surgery. Like that's the vibes I got from it, with the stretched out skin and stuff. And initially, I thought like that was because of they're an alien and why wouldn't you have stretched out skin, but knowing later on that like it's because they want to look young, and it's just they normally would look like this but they don't anymore because they're so obsessed with like this longevity or whatever. That made them more interesting in the end, like that species or whatever you want to call them. um, Speaking of which, I liked the surprises for the I guess primitive people. They look primitive, but they're actually like way more advanced than anyone else. They just choose this life because it's a utopia, like literally a utopia. Like it's pretty much the best of everything, and it's like, well, why don't you want to go out there? It's like, well, out there is just all the negativity. This is all good right here, so let's just stay here. But I like that they tied the two, like the villains of the piece and this like primitive species that is they're trying to defend against. I like that they tied those two together, having them essentially be the same people, even relatives in both sides of this. So I thought that made that side of it really interesting. It just overall, I thought there were a lot of good character moments for everyone. I mentioned Geordie's, but like I didn't mind the Donna Riker stuff, or Donna, it's Donna Troy, right? Troy and
Deanna.
Riker. I I still prefer Troy and Worf, but hey, that I'm on an island there. Um, I thought the Worf going through the Klingon version of puberty again was kind of comedic relief. And then all the stuff with Data. His Data's always malfunctioning. He's always having problems, and then he's always trying to find humanity. So that all worked for me. I thought the main lead. I wrote her name down. I can't remember, but Picard's love interest in this movie, I thought she was really good and beautiful. I don't know what I know her from, if anything, but I thought she looked great. Um, yeah, I just had a lot of fun. It wasn't. I can understand like the criticism of like it the CGI, or like it didn't really have that many bombastic moments for like a Star Trek movie. You know what I mean? Like it's pretty low key. There's just a few lasers and a few drones and like one explosion or two. But I still thought it looked pretty good, especially for the time. Like I would have swore this was like an early 2000s film as opposed to a late 90s film, as far as like the digital effects and stuff like that. So I had a lot of fun watching it. I really enjoyed it quite a bit.
Huh. Yeah, my favorite comedic relief moment was when Data meets Riker coming back on the ship, and he has shaved, and then he says "smooth as an android's bottom." Well, and then he touches his chin, and then he says, "Mm-mm, "Oh no." That I thought that was super funny. But anyway, Murph, you had a comeback.
Yeah, just to point out, I did write down my favorite one, and it was whenever they're leading the people out I literally laughed so hard at this, but Data overhears Troy and Dr. Crusher talking about how their breasts are getting firmer or whatever, and then he walks over to Worf, and to try to make casual conversation, he says, "Have you noticed our breasts getting firm?" And then they immediately come under attack, and it cuts them off before you can see like Worf's reaction. But I laughed out loud. I nearly fell out of my seat on that one just because I was not expecting him to say it. I thought it was funny.
Yeah, Data needs an anatomy lesson. But anyway, Taylor, can I have your minor complaints, nitpicks, whatever, and then your highlights of this particular movie?
Uh, as far as complaints go, Loki's mom kind of touched on this, what I was going to complain about. But the whole thing just feels a little bit rushed to me. There's not quite enough exposition. There's a lot of really big concepts that are just kind of one line thrown at them, and that's all you need. Now we're moving on. Like the whole motivation of the people on the planet, as well as the villains and the Federation themselves. Again, a lot of it just to me just felt a little bit rushed and not quite as fleshed out as it could have been. Like I would have preferred if they got rid of the romance between Picard and the woman and given that time over to a little bit more world building of the situation that we were watching here. But again,
Mhm.
just small thing. Great cast. I already mentioned, of course, F. Murray Abraham, Academy Award winner. Anthony Zerba, fantastic character actor who was around for decades, all the time. And Daniel Hugh Kelly was in this, who formerly, of course, starred in Hardcastle and McCormick in the 1980s. Always like to see him. But yeah, overall, again, if this were like a two-part episode of Next Generation, I'd put it like in the middle of all the two-part episodes as far as quality goes. It's not bad, but it's just nothing really spectacular about it. It's a pretty standard Star Trek story. It
Mhm.
was all done really well. A lot of the stuff, like the way this planet that somehow makes you younger or something. A lot of that, there was a lot of references to that were actually quite subtle, and you might not even have noticed if you weren't paying real close attention that's what they were doing. Like I think a lot of the flirtation with Riker and Troy was because of the effects of this Fountain of Youth planet or whatever you want to call it. How they were, and of course Riker shaving, and and then the breast joke, and then all there was a lot. There was actually a lot of those. But of course, the biggest one, the most powerful one, was Geordi getting his eyesight back, and you'd think with all their science they could really find a way to bottle this somehow, and share it with the universe. But I guess not. But yeah, overall, again, just the action scenes were fine, the acting was all fine, the characters all did what they're supposed to do. Everyone, I like that there was a reference to the Dominion to let us know that in the timeline of the great IP timeline where we are, that the Dominion stuff is going on in Deep Space Nine at the exact time that this movie came out. And yeah, I say it's all good. It's a perfectly enjoyable movie. I would have tweaked it here and there to make it a little bit more interesting. I think a little bit more relatable, or a little bit more engaging, I guess, for me.
Mhm.
But again, overall, solid Star Trek.
Yeah, and um, I don't necessarily agree with the take that this is a weak Star Trek movie. I still think there are worse ones out there. Yeah, I'm looking at you, Final Frontier. But um, yeah, uh, and I want to mention a particular highlight for me, which I actually forgot. But when I first watched it all those years back, I also noticed it. That the score, it is actually quite good. Everybody is always talking, when they talk about the Next Generation movies, a lot about First Contact score, but the score in this movie for the Baku village was actually quite nice. It gave you a certain feel for what was going on, and I want to point it out. Loki's mom, you had a follow.
Yeah, I want to point out. I think the motivation for the bad guys. Um, which we found out toward the end. I thought again there was a lot of good twists in this. You didn't stuff you didn't see coming. I think that the fact that these people, and I don't guess all of them were the Sona. This I think they were called the Sona. And if you
No, they
realize in
were
this,
called the Baku, and the Sona were like Baku that's straight, something like that.
you're right.
If I
The Sona.
understand,
That's what
yeah,
I'm saying. The ones that straight are called the Sona, and of course Son sons. So
yeah.
they're the sons, and we don't realize that, but that's who they are. Um, but they're dying of old age. I mean, they've been all this skin stretching is because they're trying to stay alive long enough to get down on that planet or get the healing qualities of that planet so that they can rejuvenate themselves. That's the vibe I got or what I got from it. So I mean, there was a lot of sympathy I think for at least as we got toward the end of the story for those people because they're desperate, and then of course the Federation motivation is because well here we can if we can mine this planet's healing resources, think of all the things good we can do for the rest of all the billions of people, trillions of people living out in that universe. So why not sacrifice 600 people for that? That was, of course, he had a change of heart. The bad guy, or not the Federation man, played by Zerby, has a change of heart, but it's too late. And I didn't like that they let F. Murray Abraham kill him that way. It was kind of gross, and he didn't deserve that death. And frankly, I didn't think his character did either because he there was a chance for him to be redeemed or at least capture him or done something other than burn him up in that thing he was going to shoot down on that planet or into that ring to make it do whatever it was going to do. And yeah, I think I wish they could have done better with the characters as far as the guest star characters on that in this particular
Mhm.
movie. But anyway, I just wanted to add that because kind of felt real sorry for him. And of course, they had that one again, another poignant scene where the very young woman is hugging one of the very old, decrepit Sona, and that was of course his mother and son reunion. So that was real nice.
Yeah, absolutely. Now that you were talking, a thought occurred to me. One of the most famous quotes from Spock is, "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few or the one."
Hmm.
But in this case, they flipped that around, and I thought when I was thinking about it, it was actually quite interesting. But yeah, anyway, let's do a rating. Star Trek Interaction, the movie. I want to hear a rating from you. First up, Taylor.
I give this movie a 7 out of 10.
Fair. Loki's mom.
7.
Merv.
I'll give it an 8.5 out of 10.
Yeah, I was going to give it an 8. So, actually, I did not expect when this was coming up that we would be so positive about this movie because it has a bad reputation. So, it's good. It's good. It's good.
It got better over time, I guess.
Yeah, or we got older and milder. That could also be. That will conclude this month's episode of the Star Trek Project. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, you can help us out by liking and sharing this review and subscribing to our YouTube channel. And if you really want more of us, join our forum at sakarda.freeforms.net. We would love it if you do that. In episode 21 of the Star Trek Project, we will be discussing Star Trek Nemesis, the last of the Next Generation movies. You can expect our journey into the Infinity Saga to continue as well at some point. But for now, I want to thank you all also on behalf of the rest of our champions and wish you to live long and prosper. Bye.